Farmers and ranchers are incredibly hardworking people, each with their own unique story. One of our local producers provided us a great look at his operation and shared what goes into raising happy and healthy cattle.
My name is Frank Bloom, and my grandmother came here in this country in 1916 from Chickasha, Oklahoma. Her and her husband moved out here because they had family here, and they did not homestead, but they did buy from a homesteader about a year after the Homestead Act was quit. We've been here ever since then, and I've watched my grandmother work the ranch, and my parents worked the ranch, and now we are working the ranch. And I have a lovely wife that works in town. Every successful rancher has a wife works in town. And she works at Black Hills Pediatrics. She's a PA there. And I have two wonderful children, a boy and a girl, and they're both successful attorneys in Rapid City. And so I'm very, very proud of my family and what they've done. But I have to let you know that they get all their smarts from their mother. Yeah. And so we've been ranching for a long time in this area, and to me it's probably the best area. I've been all over the United States, and this is some of the best cow country in the United States.
What's some of that history, some of the hardships that they faced having to get from where they were to where you are now?
They faced a lot of drought. They faced a lot of insufficient funds because they didn't have enough cattle. They raised a lot of their own food, raised a lot of their own eggs and stuff like that. So they never did really go hungry, but they didn't have money enough to buy anything. And then the war came along, World War II came along, and you couldn't get fuel, you couldn't get tires, you couldn't get a lot of necessities, so they just pretty much existed. And that was the period of time when a lot of people sold out. In the late 20s, early 30s, they were doing very well, and then when World War II hit, a lot of them sold out and went to California to chase the money. I'm going to call the tough ones stayed. The tough ones and the ones that had real grit stayed in this country and kind of chiseled out a life, and that's where we are today.
Let's talk about your kids. What were they like growing up? What did they like to do?
Actually, my wife raised our kids. I was busy. I worked 17 years as an operator drilling wells before I got full-time ranching, because there we go again. I didn't have enough money to buy a ranch or enough money to come home and take over the home ranch. So I spent 17 years drilling wells, and during that 17 years, my wife changed all the diapers and made sure they were fed, and yes, I was home to discipline them or spank them or whatever you have to do, but very proud of my family, very proud of my kids. She is the one that made them diversified. She made him try music. She made him try volleyball. She made him try wrestling, and he was a state championship wrestler, and she got a scholarship in pole vaulting, and so they went on to college, very good college in Sioux Falls. They both graduated there and then went on to law school. So I'm very proud of them. They both have very good law degrees, and they're doing very well. They're practicing, and it's just a wonderful deal. I'm just really sad that I'm this old that I'm not going to enjoy them another 60 years.
What do you feel like the upbringing that you and your wife chose to bring them up in, why do you feel like that is important and has played a role in who they are today as adults? I
think every child needs discipline to a point. And we really made sure that they were disciplined, they were respectful. There are a lot of children that are good kids, but they just don't have the discipline that they need. We were very strict on our kids. about being respectful and about discipline. So I really feel maybe I can help raise my grandchildren that way. We've got I've got 2 little grandsons and a granddaughter, and I'm hoping that we can help raise them kind of in the same aspects that we did our children.
Sure, of course.
What are you doing, Tilly? Well, my wife don't ride so much. She would rather take a 4-wheeler or a buggy, and which is perfectly fine. She used to ride years ago, but she's kind of gotten away from getting on a horse. And but every one of the other family ride. My son and daughter both done rodeo when they were in high school, so they're very good riders. And I'm going to teach my grandchildren how to ride. And I suppose Papa will have to buy them each a horse. We've got enough horses where I think we can kind of man every one of them up.
Of course.
Okay. Every day is just about the same. Now, every morning we'll have coffee, and the hired man and the son-in-law will come and sit down, and we'll play a game of crib and talk about what's going to happen through the day. And then we kind of start our chores. First, we'll maybe get on a horse and ride through the cows to see what's calving, go look at the heavy heifers in the corral, and then we'll start our chores, and it usually takes us about 3 hours to do our chores. And then in the afternoon, we might come in and have a cup of coffee and play another game of crib. And then we probably work on some fence or build some corrals or work in the shop. Kind of depends on what we have to get done that week.
Can you explain a little bit about what even goes into calving and what are some of the struggles that ranchers face when going through calving season?
The difficult time is when it gets really cold. Now, right here, we sort off our 2s and 3s, and we let the big bunch go north where the hired man lives, and he calves out the big bunch of cows. And we've got the 2s and 3s right here. And the 2-year-olds are the first-time mommies, and I love to calve out 2-year-olds. A lot of people don't, but I like to calve out 2-year-olds, just to see what kind of mothers they're going to be and how much milk they're going to have and this and that. So we'll sort off, we'll get them in the corral, and we'll sort off the ones, the real heavy ones, the ones with the big bags and the ones that we think are going to calve first. So we'll have 35, 40 of them in the corral. We'll turn the rest of them out and feed them out in the pastures. So we'll at night get up and check 2 times a night at the heifers in the corral to see if they're having troubles. Now, there might be a leg back, he might be breech, she might not have a big enough pelvis to have him, so that's when we have to step in and somewhat be a veterinarian. We have to get him in the chute and take the calf pullers and pull it and hopefully save it. If we have trouble with a cow calving, a leg back, or she just can't have it, this is our calving area that we'll put them into. And they go up this chute, and we've got every one of our calf chains and our pullers and all of our necessities. There we can pull the calf.
sponsor for me.
See, the bull calves we tag in one ear and the heifer calves we tag in the other ear. That way when you're sorting them coming at you, you know it's a bull and a heifer and you can sort them that way. He's good. That is our whole goal, is to save every calf possible, because that's more to go to the sale barn. That's more beef on the table.
What can happen when it's extremely cold when a calf is born?
When it's so cold, if like a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, they're more susceptible of freezing down because they're not really experienced about being good mothers. They'll get up and they will kind of lick on the calf and kind of nose it around and mother it. An old cow that has been experienced, she'll go into some brush and she'll lay down and have a calf where it's more protected. But a young cow, if it's very cold out, the calf will freeze his ears, freeze his feet, and probably not survive. So that is some of the elements that you really have to watch when it gets, zero, down below zero. A calf probably will not survive. And many times we've had to put them in a calf, what we call a hot box. I've had calves in my tub in hot water, and just to survive that calf, so we have more at the end of the year. And my wife is so wonderful, she'll let me bring a calf in the house and put him in the tub and dirty things up and make a mess, but that's what you do to make your ranch survive.
Right.
They are my heart and soul. Them animals, I've sweated over them animals. I've bawled all over them animals. When you lose one, you're very sad, but things go on, and you have to really keep your head up and look at the live ones and say, I'm blessed to have these cattle. It's really a life experience to have cattle and to be able to take care of these cattle. It's really amazing. Are we done down here for a while and we'll go home and do chores?
Yeah.
In the wind?
Yeah.
You're driving.
So people who don't have the opportunity to raise their children per se on a ranch, what are some avenues that they can do to still have their child or children be brought up with some of those same values?
I would highly recommend for them people that are not able to enjoy the ranch life or farm life or whatever it is, to get a hold of somebody, make friends with a rancher. We would love to teach them kids. We would love to have them come out and spend a couple weeks, couple months, come out and rake some hay with us or help build some fence. Instead of being on the treadmill, I'll put staples in your pocket and you can walk 2 miles and pound staples in a fence. There's so many things we can do for exercise. Instead of just taking out the garbage, you might have to clean out the barn. You might have to clean out the chicken house. There's lots of things that we can do to give them kids responsibility, and that will grow them up. But the people in town really need to keep in touch with the people out here in the country and make friends with them. Come and have a glass of wine with us. Talk about it. On this particular bunch of cattle, we're putting ground hay. We put dried distillers pellets that come out of Mitchell, and we have cracked corn. And that's what we're feeding this bunch of cows on our 2s and 3s and our calves. A cow will eat about 25 pounds a day of dry matter when it's ground hay. So you kind of do the math on how many cattle you got in this pen, and you do the math and feed them about 25 pounds, and they get along pretty good. After about 4 months of this, you get tired of opening gates. And I think people don't realize what it takes to run an operation. They don't realize we have to order salt, we have to order mineral, we have to order steel post and wire, and make sure that the wells keep running. And we're not professionals in every aspect. We're very knowledgeable on everything because we have to be mechanics, we have to be welders, we have to be, it's amazing how many avenues that you can teach your children. Now, if you go into a city and you interview 10 people and one of them people came from a ranch, that person is going to hire that child or that person that came from a ranch because he's so broad, he's so well-rounded, he's so adversed in different avenues. It really is amazing. What are you doing, Joe? Joe, come here. What are you doing, puppy? Huh? What are you doing, puppy? Hey! Hey! Get him up! Hey! 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 Get him up! Hey! 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 Shh! 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 Hey! 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 Come, right here. Come here. Come on, Pete. Lie down. Lie down. That'll do. That'll do.
There is a lot of attention being put, and has been for a while, been put on our earth and the environment. And as I've gotten to really get to know our farmers and ranchers, you all are truly focused on making sure that the environment stays the way that it is and actually turns out to be better than what it was. So can you speak a little bit to how everything that you are doing is to make sure that you protect the earth while also developing a healthy product for consumption?
We know we're going to be here for a number of years. If we destroy that ground or pasture or farm ground, we know that it's going to take a lot of years for that to rebuild. Now, whether that's pulling some cattle out of a pasture that's starting to get eat down, because we don't want to overgraze it. We want enough grass in there to collect some snow and to keep the wind erosion. So when it comes to stewardship of the land, I think the farmer and rancher is probably the best. I really hope, like I say, my grandmother came here in 1916. They've kept that as a ranch ever since then. I would hope that I'm doing things in the right way and have taught my children to keep that legacy going. I think we're on the right track. They're very interested. They can see that you're not going to get rich quick running cattle. But again, you know, you go to town and you find another job, but it is a lifestyle. When you can get up and you don't have to punch the time clock and you play a game of crib with your hired man and your son-in-law or whoever be at the table and you talk about your day, and it is a wonderful feeling that you're your own boss. And that is, you have to make a lot of decisions when you're your own boss, but I'm hoping we have left things in place that they can just keep that ranch going as a legacy. And I've always been a firm believer, if you stop growing, then it's time to not be a ranch no more. So you always try to keep growing. Now, you don't have to grow large. You might add 12, 15, 20 cows, or you might buy a little 160-acre piece, or maybe add on another allotment, but you have to kind of keep growing. That's what gives you the sense of accomplishment. So just keep in mind, just keep growing a little bit. You don't want to stale out and get stale. You just want to keep growing.